We are in what can only be described as a labor wave in Lawrence. Why? Yeah, right? Why do you think we're seeing such a new and renewed interest in unions in our community? And then also, what problems and prospects are we facing with the labor wave?
Okay, I have to confess that I love this question and I think about this all the time. So, but Matt told me I have to keep my comments to a minimum because I don't want to take up the entire panel. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about what's happening nationally and how we got here. So I think to know how we got to this moment of a massive wave of mostly young people, but not entirely young people, wanting to unionize their workplaces, going up against Goliaths like Starbucks, like Howard Schultz, like Amazon and Jeff Bezos in the private sector, and then also workers organizing in the public sector. I think we have to go all the way back to the 2012 Chicago Teachers Union strike. And I think that's important because it represents a group of workers taking over, taking leadership, winning elected leadership in a moribund, just totally a union that was really not doing anything, right? Not fighting for students, not fighting for workers, not fighting for any kind of political change or shift in the city of Chicago, which was fundamentally at the time under Rahm Emanuel's leadership, really trying to gentrify and push Black people out of the city of Chicago. And this reform movement in the Chicago Teachers Union, this group of activists who wanted to stop school closures, came together, ran for elected leadership in the Chicago Teachers Union and said, we're taking over this union and we're gonna make it about our students. We're gonna make it about community and we're gonna make it about changing, like Megan said, this horrible individualistic, capitalistic mindset that we have in the city of Chicago that's bankrupting our schools, that's ruining education for our students. And they decided to go on strike. And even though the right-wing forces in the Illinois legislature made it nearly impossible for them to win or to authorize a strike, right? They had to have something like 75% of their membership needed to authorize a strike. Well, they organized and they got there and they went on strike. And they won incredible protections for their students, obviously better wages and working conditions for themselves. But I think that's a turning point in the history of the labor movement. And I think there's also some other really important conditions that led to this, or really important other pieces, like Seamus talked about, the economic conditions we're in, right, where people are just being asked. We've seen productivity continue to go up until the pandemic, right, but wages continue to stagnate. And then I think amid that, we've also seen the uprisings around Black Lives Matter, Bernie Sanders' 2016 and 2020 candidacy, and these other reform movements inside unions. And I think all of that has taught people, we don't have to put up with this shit. We don't have to live in a terrible society. And unions are one way that we can fight to make our society better. And so I think all of that combined is really how we got here. Okay, thanks.